Hello, ladies and gents. This is US forces launch secret raid into North Korea. Yeah, okay, this was on Cappy Army. When did this shit happen? This can't be one of the latest one. I would have heard it from news or something. North Korea, like US invading North Korea, which is what this probably is. US forces launch secret raid, invades North Korea's sovereignty or whatever. So this would be like seen as an invasion. It can't be a recent thing. I'm guessing this is one of the old ones, some old story. It's by the channel Cappy Army. It's gonna be awesome. Let's do this one.
Raid into North Korean territory is one of the most insane covert actions ever undertaken. The leaks describe a highly classified infiltration mission where if things went wrong, the Pentagon assessed there was a non-zero chance of a hostage crisis with SEALs captured and a shooting war with North Korea. A non-zero chance is another way of saying, sir, this whole thing could blow up in our faces. The details of the mission have now opened up a bunch of questions about how and why classified information is leaked to the press in the first place, and how did this tactical espionage mission fall apart? What was so important that they needed to risk everything sending the SEALs into North Korea? And why are some veterans coming out now calling details of the mission into question? All I know is if you can't accept me at my botched mission inside North Korea, you don't deserve me at my Bin Laden raid in Pakistan.
Making big bucks in 2025 is simpler than a lot of people think. All you need is this episode's sponsor, Outskill, the world's first AI-focused education platform. Start earning in weeks whether you want a high-paying job or launch your own business. AI-skilled professionals have 130% better performance.
I just went to many emotions. I don't think I like the word called AI and education together because AI can be yes man a lot of time. I type, how I don't know what was this. It was a half sentence. How to figure out what to know, and like press enter. And AI gave me the whole fucking summary on like how to figure out what to know. What they just want full philosophical. That's like least worst thing there can be. But AI can be just anything. But then again, I also thought like people need incentives to even have any kind of education. If they learn by AI, at least there's something rather than nothing. I don't know. Yeah, well, if you want to like support Cappy Army, go to whichever page from there, support this channel.
WhatsApp community to stay updated.
And people think the Korean Demilitarized Zone, the DMZ, has been a peaceful, quiet location since the ceasefire in 1953, but in reality,
Kumbaya.
the two sides have had hundreds of violations. They've exchanged gunfire, artillery, and conducted raids and sabotage missions against one another. North Korea even once sent a team of assassins deep inside South Korea to try to kill their president. You guys, the thing is, the war never officially ended. There was no peace agreement. The two sides basically just yelled, time out. In light of this violent track record in history, the US tries a new strategy in 2018 of reopening direct negotiations with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un himself, breaking nearly 7 decades of silence between the US presidents and North Korean leaders. But the big problem is the US intelligence community knows next to nothing about Kim's real motivations for accepting the talks. Is he actually planning to commit to any promises in good faith, or is it just a cynical ploy trying to manipulate the talks for his own ends? They need to know what Kim Jong-un is telling his inner circle in private compared to what he's saying publicly. And the problem is, they don't have any assets inside the Hermit Kingdom. The American intel community comes up with a solution, though, a highly specialized surveillance gizmo that can intercept and listen in on North Korean communications without them having
I like how he's saying gizmo. Yeah. Oh, they came with a high-tech solution, put a mic there, and we'll listen. There you go. I guess it works. I don't know.
any idea, but it has one downside. The catch is it only works at short range. The US government is very confident that it'll work if they can just plant the device close enough to this sensitive North Korean military site. Sinpo submarine base is the strongest candidate because its geography allows for a covert approach from the Sea of Japan and the East Sea. The coastline here is rugged, but it is accessible with different inlets. So Kim frequently visits Sinpo Post submarine base, and communications with his leadership would go through here. This base is directly tied to North Korea's strategic nuclear weapons program, so anything agreed upon during the diplomatic talks would be confirmed with this surveillance device. SEAL Team 6 Red Squadron is handpicked for the op. They're the unit famous for killing Osama bin Laden, so they have experience crossing borders in secrecy and violating air and water space alike. From the start, this is an ambitious operation because North Korean coastline is one of the most heavily surveilled regions in the entire world. Any kind of airborne insertion method would be too likely to be detected, so the operators settle on an insertion from below the waves. The details and accounts of this mission are based on interviews that Dave Phillips and Matthew Cole conducted at the New York Times. They spoke with 24 people, including government officials, current and former military personnel who have direct knowledge of the mission. If anyone found out who they are, they would likely end up in prison, but we'll get more into the leak side of the story at the end of the video. There are insider sources that actually revealed that the SEALs had done this exact type of underwater insertion into North Korea at least once before in 2005 during the Bush administration. The outcome of that
They already have a home, their safe houses and everything. They have a whole logistic network. SEAL Team 6, that's what we do. All right. This is like one of those like ridiculous movie scenarios, right? Like where like James Bond intro or something, where somebody just like sneaks into like heavily fortified place and the intro music plays. Yeah, that's basically SEAL Team 6.
That was positive enough to convince the Pentagon that they could pull off a similar insertion method for this one in 2019. Still, the SEALs trained for months in preparation. Meanwhile, the entire US intelligence apparatus watched the North Korean coast like hawks.
Using satellites and spy planes, they observe both military and civilian traffic patterns in the target area. They use this information to identify the best possible window of time for the SEAL team to make their move unnoticed.
Zeroed in on February for the mission because this was when the winter nights are still too cold for much of the fishing or military patrols, but the weather conditions aren't going to be too harsh on the boats and the swimmers as it would be earlier in the season. So the SEALs are flown to Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, Japan, where they board a US nuclear submarine, most likely at Akasuku Naval Base in Japan. This is a major US naval hub with the facilities to prep this kind of mission. From there, they're on their way to North Korean coast. Once the submarine
is there any other country like US where they're basically a major hub where there is no US land to speak of? Oh, by the way, there is like in Indian Ocean, right? What is the name? I forgot the name of that. Below Sri Lanka, there's an entire island that America uses as a base where they put B-2 bombers and shit like that. And there you go. Oh, by the way, there's a port in Okinawa, like US uses as a proper base, submarine base. There you go. There's no place on this planet where US doesn't have a proper major base that they can do something from. Only America.
50 kilometers from the target area, they use the sub's secure communications array to request final authorization directly from the White House. For this sensitive mission, only the president can give the order to proceed. The confirmation words came through, the op was a go. The sub dives deeper and silently slips through the border into hostile territory. Once they're 20 kilometers offshore, the team prepares in a giant dry dock shelter room where the SEAL delivery vehicle's at. These are wet subs, they have wet cockpits, which means that the interior is filled with seawater. It has a bunch of different advantages compared to other submarines.
What?
Everything is dark except for the control panel. It's very stealthy. The team sets off into their 2 SVDs into the darkness of the water. Each SDV has 4 SEALs in it and 2 pilots. The electric motors propel them silently and without even creating any bubbles that you could see at the top. But the team still goes above the surface to scan the area at regular intervals. The Mark 8 Mod 1 SDVs creep towards shore at a speed of about 3 knots. They navigate by Doppler sonar systems to avoid detection. With no drones overhead, no aircraft to watch them, no friendlies nearby to give them real-time information of the target area, it's up to the SEALs themselves to watch for threats using their night vision and thermal goggles. The landing zone on the rocky shore looks clear. One of the SDVs overshoots the designation, drops.
Call of Duty mission has just started, by the way. There you go.
zone and has to circle back. The two mini sub crews open their hatches to get a better look at each other to avoid and prevent collision. They settle onto the seafloor after a few minutes at the pre-planned DZ. Finally, in place, where the water is about 30 feet deep, the shore party locks out. They decouple from the mini subs and they fin it over to the beach. The shore team makes it onto dry land and they take off their gear. They're equipped with sterilized weapons and ammo that have their serial and lot numbers scrubbed off to make them impossible to trace back to the United States. So
Black
far,
Ops.
almost everything is going according to plan. Now they just need to get close enough to the communications relay tower that's tied to the Simpo submarine base. But that's when things take a serious left turn. The SEAL team isn't alone in the bay. The shore party spots what looks like a potential.
Okay, so let me get this straight. SEAL Team 6 has done this once before during the Bush time as well. And only President can give this a go. That makes me think, first of all, it surprised me that President has direct link to certain operations like Black Ops operation or something. But apparently President does do that. So how many times Trump probably told SEAL Team 6 or somebody to do certain type of mission or come up with certain mission, and he gave it a go where it was like a covert mission? Because Trump is that kind of person, like, fuck it, do it, like, I don't care, right? What if it creates a diplomatic issue? I'll worry about it later, just do it, like, I need to do this shit type of way. He just bombed Iran, Venezuela thing is happening, right? Okay, again with the Venezuela thing, what are the chances SEAL Team 6 are already involved in Venezuela thing? They're already there and did some shit. We'll never know. Maybe one day, but we'll never know.
Enemy North Korean patrol boat, and they take cover. They can't see much detail at this distance, even with night vision, but to their horror, they watch the North Korean boat crew switch on their flashlights and start peering down into the water. The SEALs have no idea how anyone could know where they are, but the North Korean boat crew definitely seems to be searching for something. The crew's wearing wetsuits, and they're looking straight where the American mini-subs are. Beneath the waves, the mini-sub crew can see the boat above them and the flashlights searching through the water for them. They have no way to contact the shore party, and back on shore, the SEALs watch as one of the North Korean boat crew jumps into the water. Thinking the mission is compromised, the team leader on the shore makes a decision to open fire. Precise shots from sound-suppressed rifles eliminate all 3 North Korean crewmen in seconds, including the one that had dove into the water. Even with no witnesses, the team's cover is still blown. Eventually, someone in North Korea will realize that these crewmen are missing, and they're going to come and investigate. This will compromise the listening device even if they try to plant it. So the team leader...
Yeah, what is it, silent killer or is it ghost or something? Hitman achievement is missed now because you definitely killed someone. How is this not causing massive backlash from North Korea when North Korea genuinely pissed off? Like, how dare you kill my people coming to my land or something? I don't get it. Wouldn't that be like point blank, like all the diplomatic ties are broken now after this shit? Like, I'm not gonna even talk to you. I don't know. Because America literally went to North Korea and killed some North Koreans. That's what happened.
Makes the decision to scrub the mission, and they quickly put their dive gear back on. The SEALs swim over to the suspected enemy patrol boat to investigate. But once they reach it, they make another alarming discovery. These weren't North Korean soldiers at all. Allegedly, there were no weapons, no uniforms on the boat, and according to the Times report, these were simply fishermen who were out diving for shellfish.
That might have been why the US operators' thermals hadn't seen the North Korean crew from further away. The cold water and thick neoprene wetsuits masked their heat signatures until it was too late. But they...
So what you're telling me is SEAL Team 6 went to North Korea and killed some innocent fishermen. This doesn't look good, man. This doesn't look good. How there is no backlash from this? This is insane.
still have to cover up their presence.
From an operational perspective, the damage had been done. From the SEALs' perspective at this point, it was better to have the bodies go mysteriously missing than wash up on shore with bullet holes all over. The SEALs used their combat knives to deflate the lungs of the bodies so that they sink them deep into the water. Then they scuttle the boat, watching it sink as well. The SEALs return to their mini-sub, they lock in and exfiltrate. The team sends a pre-planned emergency code word to the the big mothership submarine that's waiting for them, letting them know that they've aborted the mission and they are RTB returning to base. But the short message doesn't convey any other info, and it causes confusion back on the bridge of the nuclear submarine. This meant leadership thinks that the SEAL team had been discovered by the North Korean military and they might be already fighting for their lives. So the submarine captain readies a second team of SEALs that were on standby in case the mission ran into trouble and needed extra firepower. They have a whole backup force offshore, including a stealth helicopter. Throwing the usual safety protocols overboard, the sub-captain brings the 10,000-ton submarine into the shallows for an emergency lightning-fast extract. The subs need depth under the keel to maneuver safely usually. In shallows, they're close to running aground.
Imagine those SEAL teams is like, God damn it, relax, we're just coming back. Like nothing, like we just killed some fishermen. You don't need to go over ape shit over this.
Or kicking up turbulence that exposes them. But they're able to get closer and cut the return trip for the SDVs in half. The team safely makes it back on board and leaves the region. But the fallout of the mission has only just begun. Surveillance afterwards notices an uptick in North Korean military presence. The location was swarmed for several hours afterwards, but there appears to be no indication that they were fully aware in North Korea what exactly had happened. In the fallout of the mission, Washington initially seeks a diplomatic deal with North Korea, but these talks fall apart. They settle for a 2018 signed joint statement.
So yeah, that's why all this happened. Makes sense. At 2018, yeah.
Statement essentially lays out the two are going to work on building a lasting peace on the Korean.
We can replace the horse apparel with blessing of peace. Trump said in a press conference that agreement holds a new U.S.-North Korea relationship based on peace and prosperity. There's no limit to what North Korea can achieve when it gives up its nuclear weapons. All right. Yeah, sure.
Peninsula. And by 2019, diplomatic moves do continue, with Trump even stepping into North Korea at the DMZ in June of that year. So it appears like North Korea was not on the defensive. They weren't aware of what happened. However, the story's revelation now in 2025 has caused all kinds of fallout and consequences.
When this happened, like, did this broken up just now? How did I miss this news? Like, okay, I'm guessing North Korea must be really pissed now at this year. Like, what the fuck did you just do? You came to my country, killed my fishermen, just walked away. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter what you feel about North Korea. Imagine that shit happening to any country, your country. Imagine if somebody, I don't know, like someone from Iran, SEAL Team 6 from Iran came to USA, killed two of your fishermen, went away. How pissed off would you be?
Consequences, and it's a geopolitical bomb. Online, there's been a mix of people saying leaking the story was treason, that it's put people in danger.
I mean, yeah, kind of like, who leaked it? See, the thing is, leaking this story doesn't even do anything. US and every major country has their own like intelligence and covert people, right? India has a RAW, US has CIA and many other, I guess, sure, why not? Every country has their own thing, and they do like, let's just say entire Call of Duty game franchise is based on that, Black Ops, they do this shit, and sometimes things are not good. So, I don't know, like this doesn't help really anyone, this will just piss off North Korea. I guess those two fishermen's family can be at rest, but then again, it's North Korea, would they even get the news? And like, it doesn't help anyone in US. People are like, this diplomatic horror, and like more people will be hurt by this than they'll be helped. I don't know.
And that it's made the situation on the Korean Peninsula even more of a powder keg. Other veterans stated that they believed the story was incomplete or inaccurate. One said, hold on, the New York Times actually ran that story? There are so many holes in that story, it's unbelievable. There's zero chance any of the spineless at the Pentagon would have approved a mission that would have put special operators' boots on the ground in North Korea while the president was meeting with North Korea at the DMZ, end quote.
Okay, wait a minute. So this happens while president was meeting at the DMZ? I'm agree with this guy. There is no fucking chance that happened. Like, what are you talking about? I don't believe this. They would not risk Trump. Imagine North Korea realize, oh, by the way, it's not just some team. We are under attack, and they just take Trump hostage. I mean, yeah, there's going to be war, but North Korea would already be thinking it's a war. This is a major risk. So, yeah, I agree with this guy. This feels like weird. No way. When president is there at the DMZ, crossing and just like They would not do this shit.
Reporters start questioning the White House if it even happened.
I know nothing about
Can you
that.
confirm that it happened?
I don't know anything about it. I'm hearing it now for the first time.
I don't know everything about it. Even though legally I'm the only one who can give a get-go. So are you saying that some people at SEAL Team 6 went rogue? If not, then you gave it a go. Otherwise, it's false. What is it? That didn't happen. Or SEAL Team 6 went rogue. Or I'm lying and I did give it a go. There's only 3 points. There can't be any other thing.
Others were more concerned with the legality of the mission itself, saying that this might have been a breach of the War Powers Act, which requires the executive branch to inform Congress within 48 hours of any kind of military action. Even Title 50 code.
Yeah, but they could be under CIA, right? I'm pretty sure CIA has that loophole. CIA doesn't have to talk to Congress, right? I'm pretty sure that's the case. CIA doesn't have to do that. So, right? I'm pretty sure that's the case. That's how CIA works. That's how covert operations work. Like, it's not a proper military action. It could be a covert action by CIA or something. So SEAL Team 6 could have been like under them at that point. I don't know.
Covert action requires limited congressional oversight. A follow-up review by the Defense Department, at the time it was called the Defense Department, brought it up again in 2021. The Secretary of Defense informed Congress at that point that they launched an independent investigation into the operation to determine what caused the operation's failure. The result was it cleared the SEALs of any wrongdoing, that their actions were recorded as within the rules of engagement. Trump had been seeking continued talks with North Korea since returning to office for a second time, but with the fallout from this story, those are likely now dead in the water. But why would these insiders in the...
I mean, if this is real, that North Korea knows this happened. If they know, like, North Korea is very, like, let's just say everything's recorded. Everyone's under suspicion. Like, it's not really a free and democratic country where people can just come and go. So those fishermen, North Korean military would know who these fishermen were and if they got missing or not. So after this story, they'll be like, yeah, those people did go missing and we still haven't found them. So this story is true. At that point, North Korea probably knows.
The military leaked this information, and why would they do it now? According to the author of the report, speaking on CNN, it's because of a few things. First, they want accountability. They want the public to know that not all SEAL Special Operations missions go off according to plan, and they're...
What accountability? If there are no error rates, what the fuck you even talking about? And if you mean accountability of this black ops, like, I guess this is like saying I don't want any corruption. There's going to be black ops everywhere, all countries. Like, they just do that. Congress knows this, President knows this, entire military chain knows this, and they see that as like necessary for national security and just do it.
There are risks with these operations, and because they want policymakers to know special operators' failures are hidden behind government secrecy. These leakers want policymakers to be aware of not just the high-stakes profile successes, but also the failures. Otherwise, they'll underestimate the risks, is what they're saying. Now, from this point of view, it's sampling bias on a grand scale.
Get out of here. Really, like, you would have just like sent emails to this congressman if that's the case. No, you went public with it.
There's a warped view of how military operations actually work in the public. Even on this channel, we often talk about the successes, but we don't often think about the ramifications of their failures of some of these missions. The U.S. currently...
I'm the last guy who would defend all this, but this is stupid. It's naive to think when things don't fail. Of course they fail. What you talking about? I'm not an American. I don't have to defend SEAL Team 6 or anyone here. But of course there are failures. You think everything just... clean and squeaky, all these roses? What are you talking about? Of course there's going to be failures. Pretty sure there's going to be much worse failures than this that nobody will ever know because everything's redacted. Like, this is like proper, like, I don't know what to say. What was the TV show? The superhero show from Amazon? I forgot the name. Something, right? Homelander one. So in Homelander one, they show like, oh, by the way, superheroes are not so great. Like, oh, superhero can be really fucked up because they're so powerful. And how sometimes people just make mistakes, like the speed guy just ran through his girlfriend and just killed her, right? Shit like that. Like, when you think about it, like how would like Flash would work, yeah, or like how Superman could be evil because he's too powerful. That's what basically that show is, and that's like real human things attached to it. Real superhero movies detach all those things and become naive, but this is proper. Like, this feels grounded. So in that way, like, I'm pretty sure this really like fucked up. Something that you can't recover from if people knew it. Bloody, like, just like where many innocents are involved level of shit probably happened with special operation. Then nobody will ever know about it. That must have happened. It's just always redacted.
Has a nuclear attack submarine off the coast of Venezuela, for instance. And the administration is considering using covert action against the cartels in different countries, possibly. And so this has opened up the question of, were these leaks possibly designed for Congress to be dissuaded from that kind of action being taking place? There are often political motivations for leaks to try to damage the credibility of an administration.
Trump.
But if this mission is so heavily classified that even the New York Times reporters say
this shit didn't leak during Biden time, it only leaked during Trump time. That kind of makes sense. Trump was involved when this happened. Then Trump didn't get elected and they didn't release it. Trump did get elected now and they released it. I guess it has to do with some politics.
that they withheld some of the leaked details. Why were government and military insiders free to share it with the press? Aren't there laws against that kind of thing? That's absolutely true. And people have actually gone to prison for sharing classified information with the press. Yeah. Officials that share this info take huge risks since they know that they face prosecution if the man finds out who leaked the details. Doesn't matter if they get published.
See, I've seen people argue over this a lot. Like, if this guy does it, it's a murder. If they do it, it's not a murder. It's just like for the country. But it's kind of true. In the end of the day, there is have to be a line that just determines something. In this way, its line is your country. If it's your country is democratic, your country has the government, it has its military, and military does certain things for the country, not for themselves. So if they do it for that, that has to count as like for national security reasons, even though it's a shady thing, which like obviously like we can talk and like, well, I don't agree with that, that's unethical. You can say that. But if anybody else does it, that's like murder and God knows whatever tag you want to do it. If like government and military does it, it's like for the national security reason. It has to be that. You can't just like compare those two and just like in the comments just like be that like, oh, by the way, this is like government just being effed up and things like that. There has to be that kind of line, right? Otherwise, like how would you see like you could see a soldier who's patriotic to like, oh, he's just a like bloodthirsty serial killer because he just killed 100 people. Who did he kill for? For his country. He was defending his country. Shit like that. So for national security reasons, yeah, you probably can't leak these things like, oh, look at what they're doing. Yeah, military and the government is doing that for national security reasons. Now you can argue like it's just a tagline they use and do effed up things in the name of national security. But they still do it for your country and for your government. For your, like, whatever you enjoy, whatever rights you have, comes from this institution called your government, your military. And they do it for that, not their personal gain. So there has to be that, right? It has to be like, okay, if you're a whistleblower, you probably broke the law.
Or not, even if it's done unintentionally, whistleblower protections, for instance, are paper thin when it comes to revealing top secret national security, national defense information.
There has to be.
There's actually more legal cover for the press that reports this kind of information. In 1971, the Supreme Court ruled that the press has the legal right under the First Amendment to publish the infamous Pentagon Papers, which had damning details of how the president had knowingly lied to Congress and the American people about the scope of the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. Now, journalists have some protections when it comes to
open war thing is probably different. Like you need to give detail to your own people, and they are all. It's for them. You're fighting, so they need to have information. Open war are different things, but certain things like this, like after Cold War, it just became that like okay, it's security reasons, redacted all that shit, Black Ops and all that shit. You could argue like is it ethical or not, but like it just makes sense for the national security reasons, right? Now here's an example I'm going to give. Let's say USA right now, USA says like they have like few thousand bombs. Then it turns out USA doesn't just have more than that, like 10 times more than that, and they even have a bomb that is like a sundial bomb or something with 20 gigaton output that nobody knows about. But China has the same thing, if not more, and Russia has the same thing, if not more. So US only did that as like a precaution. You do more, I'm going to do more, even if we have to keep it secret. Some whistleblower blows that whistle on US. Now that's the information China and Russia both have, like with detail because of this whistleblower. You hurt your country. And it's not like USA is an asshole who's doing that thing. Everybody else is also doing it. But only US's information got leaked. That is breach of national security, isn't it? But in front of people's eye, oh, US lied. Too many bombs, too big bomb. People didn't know that. you have to see it in like nuance. You can't just like, you can't see geopolitics in a way how you would see between a person to person. That's the problem.
And not revealing their sources, but in some cases they can actually be compelled to reveal sources unless they choose to go to jail, and some have. Where it gets murky, though, is the actual limits for journalists. The term leak itself doesn't even have a set definition, so news outlets mostly have to determine for themselves if information crosses the line or not.
Yeah, that's what editors are for.
The Times has an entire webpage that describes how they make decisions on how to publish or withhold, and they basically determine that
I think it's just lawyers in the end. Like, does this really break any law set by anyone or anything, even the military? No, then I don't give a fuck. They'll just release it.
if something there crosses their desk that could directly impact national security or individual safety, that's their boundary.
Yeah, laws and national security, basically also laws for this military and governmental laws, right? Like, if it breaches national security, it's also a patriot element. Like, I don't want to hurt my own country, but if it doesn't breach national security, it automatically means it's not going to hurt your country. And does it break any laws? No, it doesn't. So it's like very cut and clear.
We've seen the Times has broken many stories that are about covert action, like different CIA bases inside of Ukraine, and different authorizations that have turned out to be true in the past, although there is also a track record of mistakes that they've made. And whether you believe every detail or not, this leak pulls back the curtain, I think, on just how dangerous covert action really is, and it leaves us asking, how many other secret missions are there out there buried in silence until the next leak blows them wide open? If you like this video,
many, I think, many. If you're watching my channel, you know I'm not one of those flamboyant people. I always have like realistic, grounded thing, like, oh, come on, this is not Hollywood, no way that shit is real. I always say that. But this is one of those things, like, it's just like educated guess, knowing a lot of shit that I know. No way in hell there's like any less than this, like way too many. Knowing how Cold War went, knowing how history was happening then, right? How like everything US has done, there's no way in hell there's like not many shit like that, right? I bet like already shit is happening in Venezuela that probably 15, 20 years from now, Kings and General, like, like Cappy Army or somebody will make video about that. Or some history channel will make a video about that. Like, oh, this is what US did in Venezuela in 2025. That shit will happen. Right, well, I guess I'll see you next time.